Okay.
Oh, it's blue.
I know. What can you
That's
do?
okay.
It'll change. See, I don't know. No rhyme
All
or
right, that's
reason.
fine.
All right. Boker Tov, everyone.
Okay, over.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. We Hashem loves us, and He provided us with one precious copy of the Sefer Eshpoich Lefonov Sichi. And with Hashem's help, we'll be doing this 5 times a week. We're doing it Friday morning and the 4 afternoons before Mincha. So we can do it every day. It'll be on Zoom. So those will record it. So those who can't make it every day live. It's very interesting. The author of this Sefer, his name is Avram Yitzchak Carmel Al-Halevi. Okay. And the Sefer has been out for 5 years. He's a Breslover Chassid, was a Breslover Chassid. And there's a lot of books written on the topic of Hisbodedus, of solitude. But many people feel this is one of the better ones in terms of its easy Hebrew, so to speak, relatively. And it really addresses a lot of issues. It's interesting that this wonderful person, it was Nifter last year, 17th of Tammuz, and he passed away from Corona. Lived in Bnei Brak. So certainly that was, I'm sure, a big blow for the Breslov community in Eretz Yisrael.
How old was he?
It was 57 years old. 57 years old. And so therefore our learning will be an Ili Neshama for him and an Ili Neshama for anyone else who will benefit from this Torah learning. And Baruch Hashem, we have the one copy. Try to get more, but Baruch Hashem, we got one. And really you'll see this is a very fitting text to begin. As we begin the 9 days, you'll see how appropriate this is. And as we'll see in how to use these tools that he provides us. So today we're going to do the Pesach Hadover, the introduction, and then he has a couple, so to speak, letters, mock letters, so to speak, and then some inspiration, and then he begins the actual book. The book is over 400 pages, so which should take us about a year or so to do this. And so we should be matzliach in this choshev inyan, as we'll see what it's all about. Pesach Hadover. Okay, so he begins with his introduction. Habriach HaTichon. Briach HaTichon, that was when they made the Mishkan, when they put up all the boards, there was this one center bolt that went all the way through the inside of the walls. That's called the Briach HaTichon. Shebachol Atzosav, of all the advice that Rabbi Nachman of Breslov gave, he called it Atzas Ha'etzos, the advice of all advice. Shel Rabbeinu, of our Rebbe. Whenever he says Rebbe, he's talking about Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. Here, Hisbodedus. This is Hisbodedus, which is being alone with Hashem. That's the best way of talk about this. The word solitude really isn't accurate because solitude means you're alone. You're not alone, but you are alone with Hashem.
You're never alone.
And that's the real point. Lahaktish zman b'chol yom bo tia mebudad mibnei adam. A person should designate, sanctify every day some time to be alone from people in solitude. Minutak mehavle ha'olam, separated from the vanities of the world. Umehanoshim arotfim acharov, and from people who are pursuing him. Lios lavad, to be alone. Bad bavad, im Hashem, alone with Hashem. Gam imato lavad boded, even if you are alone by yourself. Da she'ata yochol bisman zelios levad, bad bavad im Hashem. You should know that at this time you can be alone with Hashem. Hisbodedus, this, and we're not going to translate the word Hisbodedus anymore. Hisbodedus comes from the word bad, okay, alone in solitude with Hashem. That's what Hisbodedus is. Ha'etza hamufla shekoila besocha es kol hatov shel va'ani kirvas elokim litov. This is the great advice that incorporates everything and all the good of David HaMelech's statement that says, and for me, closeness to Hashem is good. This is the key element to it. The Sefer HaKodesh Likutei Moharan Ubesichas Haran. And in the two holy books from Rabbi Nachman, the most famous is Likutei Moharan, and another one is Sichos Haran. Bahem Hirba Rabbeinu HaKodesh Legalos Ledaber Besod in Hisbodedus. So the Rebbe spoke a lot about and revealed the secret about Hisbodedus. We find that this advice incorporates and stores within it everything that's necessary for a person to return to Hashem, to get close and to cling to Him, until, as the Navi says, to the light by Hashem, to fear and love. Lischus liyishuv hadas or amiti, to merit real yishuv hadas. Yishuv hadas, we will call it presence of mind. Ulevar ma chavosi balami, and to clarify what is my obligation in this world. Heichan ani ba'olam, where am I in this world? Vayim kach roy li levalos yomai, and am I spending my time appropriately on the things that I am spending them on? That's the kind of things you think about when you're in a state of Hisbodedus. A lot of people, if you go through your day, and you'd have to really analyze how much of your day is well spent, we all can improve in this area, okay? It ranging from how much time you spend eating, how much time you do a lot of things. Again, to share another story from Rav Israel Tauber, we've just, it's like Mamish, heard so many amazing things. So he was once, the person himself related the story at his hesped. So the fellow was a very frum guy, a very solid guy, and was a well-off to do fellow, responsible person. He learned Torah, this and that. So he had Rabbi Tauber was staying in his house, and he said, "Let me prepare you a special English breakfast."
Who said to whom?
The host said to Rabbi Tauber. I don't remember exactly. So what was so and he served it to him. So he said, "Oh, it's very good. So what is this as well? You take one piece of bread, you put some butter on it, and you put it on the frying pan, and you toast it up real nice. And then you take the other piece and you toast it up real nice. And then you take I forgot the other thing you said. Then you take something else and you chop it up. I think onions, and you fry. You ever heard of this in English? No. And you fry up the onions separately, and then you put them in together in the thing. And that's mamish. That's what Tauber says. They said, he's his host. He said, it's very good, but why are you wasting your time doing this? You know, breakfast is breakfast. You have to make a whole geschäft out of breakfast. You know, you have some oatmeal. That's breakfast. Have an apple. That's breakfast. Like spending 15 minutes making this elaborate thing. Don't you have better things to do with your time? So the guy took the musar. So we got to realize, you know, I was somewhere once. I won't say any details. You know, some kind of like a kiddish type of function, whatever. And people are telling me about their hobbies in town. And one guy, he's raising chickens. So I said to him, "That's fascinating. Why do you raise chickens?" I always wanted to raise chickens. I said, "You do this to make money?" Or I think, no, just to do it.
Oh.
You know, and other things. So again, we have to analyze, is this the best use of your time? What is the best use of your time? Now, for everyone, it'll be a different answer. But you got to realize, you know, how precious is this commodity of life. And here's the problem. We're too wealthy in that area. If we've got 24 hours a day, so that translates to, I think, 1,440 minutes a day, approximately. That's a lot of minutes. And in a week, it's like 10,000 minutes. We're wealthy. How we spend, I know people are very careful how to spend their money. How are you careful spending your time? Okay, now, when you're spending your time and you're watching the news, some people watch it for minutes, some for hours. What did you gain by doing that?
Fear.
What did you gain? I know what's going on in the world. Okay, where in the Torah does it say this is one of the things you do to serve God? Okay. So I'm just saying, you have to be able to know, well, what else am I supposed to do? Well, why don't you look in the Torah and see what the Torah tells you to do? So this is not going to be happening so well when you hear the rabbi talking to you. When will it really happen properly? When you're in a state of Hisbodedus and you're talking to your Hashem. And they're making that reality. That's where we're talking about. You can only do that when you're in a state of Yishuv Hadas, presence of mind. Now, many people, especially when they're younger, have very little time to have presence of mind. They're running from here to there and everything else. However, people like us, as we're getting older, there's no excuse not to achieve these states of presence of mind, because we can't say we're too busy. Only question is, can you dislodge yourself from certain habits of what you're doing? So that's the idea. You have to have some time when there's presence of mind, when your mind is really can think clearly and be honest with oneself. To be able to purify yourself from all the lusts of this world and all its nothingness. To bond and connect with the divine goodness, Hamiti, which is true, Hapanimi, which is inside, Shebetoch Kol Nefesh Misol, that's inside every Jewish soul. To be able, Lishpoch Es Libi Kamayim Nochach Pnei Hashem, to be able to pour your heart like water before Hashem, as we'll say in Eicha next week. Leos Mispalel, to a person to really be Mispalel. Mispalel is an expression of the verb form of hispal, to daven that it affects you. Umavakesh Hashem, and to really seek Hashem. L'daber im Hashem kedaber ish al re'ehu, to speak to Hashem like a friend, a person speaking to his friend, keben al aviv, like a son to his father. Lisrapek al kirvaso, to cuddle with that closeness. Lichsov lishtake, to yearn and desire it. Lahodas l'shabechaso, to praise Hashem. Ulahakir l'tov al kol chasidov, and to be, grateful for all the kindness that Hashem does you, but to really mean what you're saying. Next page. Lehispalo lischanan aleisek haTorah v'kim haTorah, to daven and to supplicate Hashem for you to have success in engagement in Torah and fulfilling the Torah. And thereby to merit to fulfill everything that Hashem has commanded me to do. To achieve this purity, to nullify the physicality as being the focus of your life, the physical body and all its lusts, to nullify that. Only then can you merit to achieve the goal for which Hashem put such a precious soul into this world, which is advekus, which is cleaving to Hashem. Whereas the pasuk says, "V'chilos hanefesh Elokim," and my soul pines to God. Okay, that was the opening introduction, so to speak. Then goes to the second part, and these are the bullet points that Tzaddik is telling us over here. That if you're able to do this, you will merit to have presence of mind. You'll be able to purify yourself from all the mundaneness of this world. You'll be able to pour your heart to Hashem. You'll be able to feel close to Hashem, daven properly to Hashem, and fulfill the reason why you came into this world, which still most Orthodox Jews do not either know it or think about it. Now, what he's going to do next is bring a teaching from the Likutei Moharan, which he'll do often. He'll take a snippet. Now, these essays of Rabbi Nachman are long and complex. He's just, he's making the complex simple, so to speak, for us. So in Likutei Moharan, in the 36th essay, it says, Kesha Nefesh, it's talking about when Yaakov went down to Mitzrayim. And it's very appropriate as tomorrow begins the 9 days. Don't forget to prepare your clothes. Got to get everything ready for the 9 days. So when Yaakov goes down, how big was his family when he went out to Egypt? How many souls? 70 souls. 70 is a very big number. As there's also 70 primary non-Jewish nations of the world. Why is it 70? Why is it 70? We will see. Okay, so now he explains. So now Yaakov goes down to Egypt. This really is the precursor of all exiles. Egypt is the exile of all exiles. Every exile that we experience really comes out of Egypt. And we never really perfected getting out of there properly. And all the 4 major exiles, everything we've had. So now, what is the deeper message over here? When the soul of the family of Yaakov, which was 70 souls, went into Galus, that's controlled in general by the 70 languages, the 70 nations. And what does that mean? Hainu b'midoseiim haroim. It really means under the influence of their evil midos. Azehi ra'amas shivim kalim. It really is the screams of 70 screams. Chazal have this Masorah. 70 screams. When a lady is in childbirth, she screams 70 times. Now, it obviously doesn't mean exactly 70 screams. Don't, if you're a husband and you're there in the labor room, okay, that's scream 1, 2, okay. Okay, dear, you got 23 more to go. It's a symbolism here. Delivering a baby. We got to realize that's what we talk about. We talk about the Chavlei HaMashiach, the birth pangs of bringing the Mashiach. The whole messianic process is like a delivery of a baby. If we really know how people are so, certain women are so makpid when they're pregnant. It's a good thing that they're makpid. They won't drink any wine. Sulfates could hurt the baby. They won't do a lot of things. Be so careful because we cannot do any way affect the baby because whatever you're going to bring into your body is going to affect the baby. You want the best doctor, you want the best doula, want the best service, everything. And you're going to have to scream a little bit. Well, the real baby we're trying to deliver is Mashiach. The real baby we're trying to deliver is getting out of this ghost. Because of the sin of first man, instead of babies just coming out instantly, we got the 9 months, all the pain and this and that. So to bring the Mashiach is the same thing. So here's the point. The 70 nations, they really represent, as he's going to say in a minute, they represent the 70, he said, the 70 midos. There's 70, if you take the 7 primary spheros, whatever, times 10, 7 times 10, that is really the fullness. 70 is a big number. So therefore, there's 70 different aspects of midos. And it's meant to be developed properly, it's good, but the non-Jews of the world have developed it improperly. So when we're in our own land and we don't live with the Goyim, we don't get affected by the Goyim. When we live properly as a nation, if we would have gone into Eretz Yisrael and destroyed all the Canaanites and made it, as they say, Canaan Rhein. Okay, not Yuden Rhein. Canaan Rhein. Then we wouldn't have been affected by them. However, we didn't. And now we go into different stages of these 70 subcategories of the exile. There's a great danger of assimilating into the Golus. And what's this idea of the screaming? Well, we know that when the Jewish people were at the Sea of Reeds and they were mamish in big trouble, what did they do? They cried out to Hashem. However, how does the Medrash explain it? The Medrash explains it with an analogy from the pasuk that says, "Hashmieni es koleich." Let me hear your voice, as we say in Shir Shir. What's going on? So the Medrash gives the famous story of a princess who is captured by thugs. She screams out, and this prince hears her voice. He runs, and the gallant prince that he is, he chases away the bad guys and saves her. Takes her back to her palace, and she's so grateful. And the whole time she's talking to him, "Oh, you saved my life. You're wonderful. You're amazing, Prince Charming, blah, 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 blah." Then they say, "So maybe can I see you next Thursday?" He says, "Well, I don't know. I'm kind of busy," and brushes him off. But he really likes her. And she, for the time that when he saved her, she seemed to like him, but she's got all kinds of other things in her life. I got to prepare for the ball and all these other things. Okay. So he leaves his Cinderella and he now figured, how am I going to get to see her again? So he calls up the Mafia. He says, "Guys, do me a favor. I think every Thursday she goes out into the forest. So next Thursday, you go attack, chase away everybody, pretend like you're capturing her, don't hurt her, and then wait till she screams out. And when she screams out, I'll come and I'll start waving my sword at you guys, and you'll pretend like you're scared and you'll run away." And so it happened, exactly as such. And then I guess she saw, wow, this guy's really a gallant guy. I really could use his protection, so maybe I'll marry the guy. So was the Jewish people. When they were in Egypt and they were bathing in Jewish baby blood, the Jewish people were crying out to Hashem. And Hashem heard their voice. And he redeemed them from Egypt. But now that they're out of Egypt, they think maybe we don't need Hashem anymore. And Hashem says, "Oh, but I'd like to hear your voice again." So what does Hashem do? He constructs the whole machination of the Sea of Reeds, where they're trapped and they don't have anything to do. There's no way out. And they're crying out again. Hashem says, "Oh, good. You're crying out again." And that was the goal of Golus. The goal of Golus is Hashmieni es kolech. Let me hear your voice. To move from Golus to Geula, we have to daven to Hashem. We have to pray we don't slip. We don't fall into all these things. How many Jews have we lost in the Golus? Physically and spiritually. Again, people don't take it seriously that Jews are dropping dead like flies spiritually, and it doesn't bother us. We keep watching the Netflix, we keep watching the news, and just let it all happen. We don't feel there's a crisis. So Hashem gives us crises, plenty of crises to scream out to Hashem. Okay, so this is what Golus is about. That's the 70 screams. So to get through the Golus, Hashem has to hear our voice. So now he asks, that's the little line from Rabbi Nachman. So the author says, person does not designate any time of solitude with Hashem. When is he going to scream out to Hashem? When does he have time for this? And more than that, Gam im tizak, even if he screams out, Eich yargish es kol zakaso. How does it sound? How does it feel? Is it authentic? Is it real or is it forced? We have Tisha B'Av. It's forced. People, honestly, most Balabatim are very happy when Tisha B'Av is during the week. You go to an early minyan, quick, Eichas, Slichas, whatever, Kinos, and they could be at work for 10 hours. Forget about everything. Right? So now, but when you're sitting on a Sunday, there's only so much you could do to make yourself busy. So you sit down and you're trying to cry out. Is it a real cry? Messiah Yishua, so where are you going to hear this real cry? See, that's really what Tisha B'Av was meant to be. Tisha B'Av was not meant to be Tisha B'Av programs. Hashem did not design it as such. Did not design it that way. It was designed, all the prohibitions of Tisha B'Av is for one reason: to have a whole day of Hisbodedus with Hashem. A whole day, you just sat on the floor and you talked to Hashem the whole day. And that's why it's called a moed. Jewish holidays are called moadim. A moed means getting together. So why did Hashem create this idea of holidays? Well, there's all kinds of reasons, all kinds of good things. But one of them is, if you're not preoccupied with work, you can't have time. You have time for Hisbodedus with Hashem. Shabbos is time for that. Yom Tov is time for that. And those are happy occasions, but it doesn't have to be a happy occasion. It could be Tisha B'Av. It's the same value of a moed, of being together with Hashem. That's what a moed is. That's the whole point of Tisha B'Av. However, since people are not sophisticated enough in Hisbodedus, so better than going to work, better than watching television and all that stuff, better to have a Tisha B'Av program. It's the lesser of two evils. It's still not optimal. Optimal if we really sat all day and understood the kinos and the lamentations, and it was real to us. To say that whole book with meaning would take hours, and then sit down and just talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's really what it's about. It's no time for eating any of that stuff. That's what rabbis had in mind, and that's the way it was years ago. Now the world is different, for better or for worse, and therefore we have to have programs. So we'll still, like this year, for some reason, my internal mechanism is just not in the mood for a Tisha B'Av program this year. I'm so not in the mood. I have to push myself. And you can say, why? I say, I don't know. That's Hashem put that mood in me. But one thing's for sure, we've had a Tisha B'Av for 15 months. For 15 months, people don't, during most of that time, people don't feel that they need to be in shul badly. So it's a churban. It's a churban. The place is charav. It's not alive. When certain shuls, I'm not saying it could be done any different. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that was the reality. The reality is many people didn't put their foot into the shul the whole time. And even those who did, and sitting as we have, it's for very brief, in and out, get out. And don't you dare sing, because it'll take too long. It's other shuls, not ours. Can't have chasidus in the shul. Can't do any of these things. That's a churban. Just because the building's up doesn't mean it's not destroyed. So and our shul's much better than most shuls. Much better, but still destroyed. It's still destroyed. When you got to beg people to come to shul, it's destroyed. It's destroyed. So what do I need Tisha B'Av for? I've been having Tisha B'Av for 15 months. So, but Afal PK, you got somebody's got to get energized. So and it's a churban. It's a churban that people aren't interested in Hashem's Torah. Present company excluded, but there's so much being offered, and people just not interested. I still, for the life of me, wish I could be a fly on a wall in certain people's homes, just out of curiosity. What the heck are they doing all day long? Just be flying on a wall. What do they? I know they work. So what do they do after they come home from work? What do they do? I understand you have to go shopping. I understand there's certain things you have to do. I totally get you got to go shopping. Others, what are they doing? When you got places of Torah, places of to be, we'd rather be somewhere else but there. That's the attitude. We'd rather be somewhere else than there. Yeah, but where is there? There is where God is. Well, God can be everywhere. Yeah, but Lamaisa, he's not invited. He doesn't feel welcome in most homes. How welcome does Hashem feel when you're watching Netflix? How welcome does he feel when you're spending the whole day watching the news filled with narishkeit? So what does Hashem do? Hashem has to make things happen. Every couple of weeks, people should be screaming. Oh, that's the voice I've been waiting to hear. You only can scream to Hashem when a condo collapses. And if it doesn't collapse, I don't have anything to do with God. I only have to deal with my condo management people. That's all. So it's like, it's like really depressing. So what do I need Tisha B'Av for? I already have it, but Hashem says you have to have it, you have to have it. There's no question about it. But those screaming is, what screaming? What crying? Nobody's crying at Tisha B'Av, which obviously means people are pretty happy the way things are. If people are happy the way things are, that means they don't have any presence of mind. They're just mindless. And that's what this Sefer is about, is that we should get our presence of mind back. And you can't get your presence of mind by, number one, just listening to what everybody out there is saying. Because 99%, no, 100% of what you're hearing is sheker. Unless you're hearing it from a proper rabbi or proper Torah, that's 100% sheker. So now your mind is filled with 100% sheker, and you think you could be a Jew that's going to be successful in why Hashem brought you down into this world. And you're happy being mindless or miserable being mindless. But mindless it is that way anyway. So anyway, that's what he's saying. When are you going to have time for this? We're in the Golus. Okay, we'll stop it over here. This is our little beginning of the introduction, and the next piece will be the next piece from Rabbi Nachman, which is going to talk about this idea of Hastoras Ponim, where Hashem hides from us, as it were. We will continue.
Rabbi, is it good to be the one-eyed man in the sea of the blind? I mean,
it's good to be the one-eyed man in
the sea of the blind.
That's called a Navi, isn't it? Isn't that called a Navi, Stan?
It sucks to be him.
You know what? Rabbi Nachman, remind me for Monday. Somebody who's listening, remind me for Monday that the famous story that Rabbi Nachman told about the king and his assistant and the poison wheat. Just remind me about that, because we got to stop. People have to stop. Okay, have a happy Shabbos. And when we come into Shabbos, we don't learn this stuff because we've got to be in a happy mood. But we got to get ourselves into the 9 days mode. Okay, so have a good Erev Shabbos. Hopefully, I'll have time to do the drush as soon as possible. Okay, sei gesund, everyone.